The Pirates' top pick in 2024 is now baseball's top prospect. I'm making the case for why this team simply can't trade Oneil Cruz, and I'll pick an all NL Central team. That's next on Locked On Pirates.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Welcome to Locked On Pirates. I'm Gary Morgan. We've had a lot to cover today, including my plea to not trade Oneil Cruz and an NL Central roster of the best of the best. But we start today with exciting news. Even if it was kind of expected, Konnor Griffin is MLB's top prospect. Not too shabby. 9th overall pick last season, ends up being the top prospect in the game, almost a year after being drafted. Pretty crazy. I just want to kind of talk about what he's actually done so far. I know we've seen a lot of highlights of him doing crazy things, but some of these numbers are just insane that he's actually put forward. 75 games played already between Greensboro and Bradenton. And I'm not going to bother splitting it here. I will later. But some of the stuff he's done is insane. 99 hits already. 73 runs scored already. 13 home runs. I mean, stealing. He's stolen 41 bases already. 41 bases. He's striking out a little bit more than he walks. That's not the greatest. You do want to see that switch around. 76 strikeouts to 29 walks. The on-base percentage is the only thing that really suffers from that at 400, but the batting average is 327, slugging 521, OPS of 921. By team, just because you should break it down like this as you're going up, 50 of those games were with Bradenton. There he slashed 338, 396, and 536. 9 of his home runs came there. 26 of his stolen bases came there. 26 stolen bases in 50 games. Just think about that. Greensboro, 25 games so far, slashing 302, 409, and 490. 4 more home runs, 15 more stolen bases. I know, minor leagues are the minor leagues, right? I get it. So let's compare him to somebody that recently has gone through this journey from a very similar perch, right? Prep high school hitter, Konnor Griffin, Jackson Holliday in 2024. Okay. In 2024, here's what Jackson Holliday did in his 73 games played in the minors. And keep in mind, Konnor has 75. So these numbers are going to line up. I'm going to read you Connor's number, then I'm going to read you Jackson's number. For hits, Connor's got this one 99 to 72. For batting average, Connor's got this one 327 to 271. On base, Jackson has a little bit better, 431 to 400. Slugging, Konnor 521 over 477. OPS 921 over 908. Home runs 13 to 10. RBIs 53 to 38. Stolen bases 41 to 8. Walks is definitely where Jackson has him, 29 versus 75. Strikeouts, though, very similar, 76 to 77. All in all, Griffin showed more aggression, I think, so far. A little bit more athleticism, higher batting average, significantly more stolen bases. Holliday, elite plate discipline, walked more than twice as often and posted a higher on-base percentage despite fewer hits. Both players had similar power output, with Griffin slightly edging Holliday, and the OPS was nearly identical. Point I'm trying to make here is Jackson Holliday got here super quick, and I do think the league is starting to trend that way. There doesn't seem to be the same hard and fast rules there used to be for getting guys up to the majors. And I think we're seeing that with Konnor. They have accelerated him. This Greensboro stop, however, It's only at 25 games, so it's not like he's been dying on the vine there or something. But the inevitability of moving him up to Altoona, to me, is just, it's screaming that it has to be done. He's dominated this level. And I think you want to see ideally 50 games. I mean, 50 is a nice even number, at least as far as like each level goes. You have time to get through a hot streak, time to get through a cold streak, time to actually learn something at a level. You got to keep in mind too, like the way that the series are in the minors, like 25 games in your series are 6 games each. So he's only played what, 4 or 5 different teams, like, so he's only seen X amount of pitching that he really could. And in high A, that's not going to be that big of a deal. And those kind of change around a lot anyway. But when you get up to double A, that metric's still going to be there, but you're talking about pitchers that probably are getting close to being able to make the jump to the majors. And I think it changes some things. And one of the things that we'll have to pay close attention to is what happens to that strikeout to walk ratio. That's the only thing that might hold Konnor Griffin back, is that he does strike out a lot more than he walks. I don't want to sap him of aggressiveness. Unfortunately, I do believe that's what this system is intended to do. And I think as far as moving him forward, the next step will really probably lean on that stat, getting more walks drawn and striking out a little bit less. I don't want to lose anything else he does. So my fear is, don't touch him at this point. Just let him kind of progress. It's more than good enough. We'll deal with that aspect later. It's not that he doesn't have a good eye. It's that he's very aggressive. He trusts that he can hit everything. That's something that'll correct itself for some guys, like as they progress through a system and they face tougher and tougher competition. You'll see that they kind of learn some of these lessons themselves, and prematurely trying to get them to draw walks at this level, well, you might actually just keep them from being special when you're at the A level. Walks are easier to come by in the lower levels because guys don't throw it over the plate as often. But Konnor is a guy that he's not necessarily waiting for you to throw it over the plate. He's just waiting for something he can put good wood on. And the way he hits, well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's in the strike zone. So there's going to be some learning curve there, because I think you're going to find that the next level, some people's out of strike zone stuff becomes unhittable. That slider that just broke off the edge of the plate in high A, well, it might look like it's going to do that same thing, but it's going to sweep an extra 6 inches. You know what I mean? The stuff gets better. The placement gets better. I'm interested to see what happens when he starts facing people that can really land their fastball. He's a good fastball hitter, but when you have guys that can really pinpoint their fastball, it changes the game a little bit. I think naturally we'll see his walks increase because he'll have to kind of regiment the way that he takes swings and everything, but exciting stuff. I do believe he'll wind up in Altoona this year. I believe he's got a real shot at making the major league team next year. I don't mean out of spring, but I mean during the course of next year. It's hard for me to fathom that he's not going to make a push the way he's going right now if he stays healthy. They've been playing him shortstop and center field. Shortstop has been good. A couple errors, but I think he's done well. And I do think, first of all, the infield sucks in Greensboro. So I hardly ever read anything into like the error stats or whatnot. They haven't been throwing errors either. They've been getting down on ball errors. And that's something that I think is easy to correct, especially in a cow pasture that you're playing in. I think the center field is kind of the easy button for Konnor Griffin. I think if you put him in center field, he's probably a Gold Glover. And I mean like almost immediately. If you put him at shortstop, I think he's probably capable of being at least in the top half of defenders in the league, but I don't think he'll win a Gold Glove there. I think center field ultimately is the fail-safe. That's where you put him if shortstop is either occupied or you Still need that outfielder more. I personally think I'd rather play him at the place where he's gonna just be spectacular, which I think would be the outfield. That said, I can't deny that this team needs a dynamic shortstop, and he really could be that. I don't think just because it's not his best position doesn't mean that he might not be the best choice for that position. I do expect to see him next year. I shouldn't feel that way about a high school kid. He's 19 years old. It's too much pressure. Even his own father says not to put that kind of pressure on him about moving up. But I can't help it. What I'm seeing, well, I just told you. Jackson Holiday was probably one of the top rated prospects that's come out in quite some time. And I think Konnor's outplaying him, at least as far as what he put on paper on the way up. So I think it's going to be an exciting thing to watch. It really is. We haven't had, the top prospect in all of baseball for a whole couple of years. Right? We had Paul Skeens, so we obviously know what this is like. But boy, it'd be amazing if Konnor could come up and not hit as many speed bumps as many of our other hitting prospects have. Be great to have the Paul Skeens of the hitting world, right? You definitely could use a freak show like that. It might be the only real savior for this franchise, truthfully, is to hit on a couple real freaks that just change the game entirely. It's a lot of pressure to put on a kid. It's not fair. Shouldn't be saying this stuff, but I can't help it. It's that key. When we come back, I'm going to make an impassioned plea to please not be stupid and trade Oneil Cruz. We've all been there, logging on early, waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to the show time, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Ever wonder what your view will actually look like before you buy? The app shows you a panoramic seat view, so there are no surprises whatsoever. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Hey, do me a favor, subscribe to this show. And also with Steelers training camp getting started, make sure you go and check out my man Carter Critiques over there, Locked On Steelers. He's awesome. I've been a huge fan of him long before I came to this network. I think I've been following him since he was at DK Pittsburgh Sports, actually. Breaks down the game like very few can. I absolutely love his show. It's a must listen. I probably listen to his Steelers show more than any other. It's a great show. Please check it out. And I'm gonna call all the way back to the Future when I make this statement, because I would love to be just in front of Ben Cherington, and I would play the role of Marty McFly's father, and I would just say, "You get your damn hands off Oneil Cruz, Ben Cherington. Listen, I don't want him traded. I don't think he's going to be traded." Before we get into why, I just want to kind of make sure that we clarify what is actually happening here. People are calling and asking about players. The Pirates record says call and check on players because we stink. Okay? They have a really bad record. So of course teams are going to call and ask. And of course they're going to call and ask about the players that are good. And this team has a policy of listening to everybody. That's what they're going to do. Period. I don't have a problem with listening. I have a problem with it getting reported that they're listening, because it starts this crap storm, right? The package that would be required to get Oneil Cruz from the Pirates isn't out there. It's not going to happen. Okay? Nobody's going to give up the prospects that you need, if only because, let's be really honest about Oneil Cruz. He's not perfect. He may be the best offensive weapon the Pirates have, but that doesn't mean that he's an offensive weapon that's going to step right in and help a playoff team get anything done. Not yet. At least not to the degree that they would pay what I think the Pirates would require to get him off of their books. It's not going to happen. Okay? That's number one. Number two, it won't be allowed to happen. There's going to be certain things that the brakes get pumped on here. This is one of those things. I have it on pretty good authority. There is no world in which Oneil Cruz is going to get moved. So I just don't believe that this is going to happen. But even so, I got to say, Oneil Cruz should not be moved. This team's offense is its problem. There is no world in which taking away their very best offensive option helps. There's no way they'll recover from it. Even if they get really, really good prospects back. Okay? I can make an argument that that's a smart move. And it would help the team down the line, 2027, 2028. You could make a stronger run at having a wider open window in those years if you made a move like this. But it isn't going to help you in 2026. And this team is in a position where it's imperative that 2026 is better. It has to be. Everybody involved has talked about it. And think about it, it doesn't matter whether Ben Cherington is here or not. If Ben Cherington's here, it means he survived this year somehow. Is there any way you don't see him having double the pressure on him next year? I don't. He's going to want to win in 2026 because he knows that he got by the skin of his ass this time. If he survives 2025, 2026 is going to mean an awful lot to him. I don't see them taking a whole lot of steps back in order to try to do that. I think Bob Nutting is going to have incentive to do a little bit more next year. And that may mean putting out more money too. If they don't trade any of their contracted guys like Mitch Keller or Brian Reynolds or, Brian Hayes, the payroll is going to go up next year anyway. It's already going to be, it's like 92 right now. It's probably going to go down a little bit with some of the trades at the deadline as you get rid of guys like IKF and whatnot, and their prorated salaries leave with them. Unless you bring back major league talent, which we hope they do. The payroll is not going to go up this year, but it's probably going to cap around 90, 80 some, 88, 90. Next year, over 100 pretty easily just from raises to Reynolds and Keller. And I think you're probably looking at arbitration figures that are going to sneak that number up. You're probably looking at cracking 100 next year. So it'll go up. Is it going to go up enough? Not if they have like a shopping list and they're expected to go buy it all. So trades are going to have to happen. But if you trade Oneil Cruz, you create a whole new problem. Now you don't need one outfielder. Now you need two. And you need two that are real good because the one that you're calling a settled matter, Brian Reynolds, well, he's not a very good fielder. So, and he hasn't hit this year either. So obviously you're going to hold on to him and hope that it bounces back. And I have a lot of faith that it will. But Oneil Cruz is kind of the guy that's trending in the right direction. He's just entering arbitration. It's just too early. This would smell an awful lot like the dump of Aramis Ramirez years ago because the Pirates were afraid they didn't have the money to pay him in arbitration. And so they made a terrible trade. I don't think we're in that spot. So there's really no reason to be discussing this. Do I think other teams want him? Hell yeah, I do. But they don't get him. Okay? Not yet. Not now. That's a dumb move. Okay? I don't really want to talk about it much, but the national media keeps bringing it up. So I figured the first thing I should do is just tell you, ain't happening. The second thing I should tell you, it shouldn't happen. And the third thing I'll tell you is like, just use your common sense. They need offense. The last thing they're going to do is get rid of the only guy who's hitting double-digit home runs for them. I can't think of anything dumber to do. You want him there when you bring on some more of these guys that can actually hit home runs. As Nick Gonzalez works himself into a guy that eventually starts hitting 10, 12, 15 home runs, you need a guy like Oneil Cruz there who's hitting 20, 25, and you need Brian Reynolds to get back to hitting 20, 25. You ain't trading that off right now. They may not be the best in the league, and when I do the NL Central lineup later, I think you'll find there aren't a lot of offensive Pirates on my list. But the ones I have, the ones that can hit, they ain't going anywhere. Not right now. Small exception for maybe Brian Hayes. And the only reason I say that is because I think some of the playoff teams that are looking for third baseman, they're not all going to get Eugenio Suarez. We all know how hard it is to get Arenado traded because of his no trade clause and his just lack of even being interested in it slightly. And I think Hayes is going to pop up there. Like, the Yankees are not going to go into this playoff season leaving third base the question mark that it is. I don't see them swinging and missing 3 times. That's why I leave the door open that I think there could be a Brian Hayes move. When we come back, let's do my all NL Central roster. And I did all 26. Okay, this comes from a good question I got from Jack, wanting me to pick, like, from the NL Central, the best of the best. So I basically did that. Tried to do an all-star team from the NL Central. Gameday Hue makes clean, no-logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. The hat pairs perfectly with my usual gear, as you can see. It doesn't replace my team's logo stuff. It just adds to the lineup a little bit. It's not just hats either. I mean, look, they sent me these awesome gloves. They're really, really great. I already took them out on the course and gave them a test run, and everything worked out. I actually think the palms are thicker than the ones that I'm used to, and I loved it. Actually really improved my game. Shot one of my better games in a while. Right now, you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GamedayHue.com. That's GamedayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals, so now the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GamedayHue.com. Code MLB15. All right, hey, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Again, this comes from somebody, a regular contributor here. He's always commenting. Jack, I like the question. Hard to answer on the comment fields, so I figured let's just make it a segment of the show. My 26-man roster from the NL Central. I'm not a homer, okay? I love the Pirates more than anything, but when it comes to, like, evaluating what I think is good and bad, I'm pretty straight. You'll find that I take these things way too seriously because I'm always trying to, if anything, I'm unfair to Pirates players because I'm always trying to put them down as far as, like, coming up with these lists as to what I would actually put out here. So when I have a Pirate, just know I mean it. And yes, I really thought it through. Okay. There's one in particular that's probably going to shock you. Let's do the rotation. This is just starting 5. We're not going to play around with a 6-man rotation or any of that nonsense that's going on nowadays. So let's just start here. Paul Skeens, easiest choice ever. He's the best pitcher in baseball, let alone this division. So there he goes. Then I go to Sonny Gray. I think Sonny Gray has been incredible. Shota Imanaga from the Cubs, super good. Hunter Green's injured right now, but if I was to pick a pitcher, and I know Andrew Abbott, I was torn on this one. I wasn't trying to just pick one from every team either. I think you'll find that to be true as well. But those two in particular, I was torn on because I love Abbott. I think he's been really good. But Hunter Green to me is just, I think Hunter Green's about to take a big step if he can stay healthy. And then you got Mitch Keller. I'm going to Mitch Keller. I think he's seasoned. He's consistent. I think he's a great member of this 5-man rotation. I thought about Mizorowski. Just don't think he's done it long enough for me to put him in my starting 5. Basically, I'm building a team here, right? I'm not just building like what's hot right now. Because otherwise, I might say Bailey Falter, who just had a great outing. Get what I mean? Like, I like Mizorowski. Let's see how it goes for a little while. Once the league's had a chance to get their eyes on him for a month or two, let's see how they push back. If they don't, okay, I'll revisit my list. It's not like it's hurting anybody. All right, how about the bullpen? All right, I'm going Brad Keller. I think he's been great this year. Abner Uribe from the Brewers has been awesome. Phil Maton, the only free agent that the Cardinals signed, and I thought he's been really good. I'm also going to give them Jojo Romero. Jojo Romero has been really good this year. Daniel Palencia, I think, has been pretty solid. And Trevor Megill makes my list. And 2 Pirates in my bullpen, Dennis Santana and David Bednar. Yeah, I think they've both been that good. And if you look at the numbers just across the league in the bullpen, I think you'll be surprised how many Pirates are actually on that. Carmen Majinski's his bullpen numbers, really good. He's only just done 19 games in the bullpen though, so I didn't feel it was right to add him to it. But plus I already had 2 Pirates, and again, I told you I'm hypercritical of the Pirates when I'm doing these lists, so bear with me. The starting 9, this is going to be fun. All right, this will be more identifiable for you than a bunch of relievers, but I felt it was important to kind of go through the whole list and do that. The starting 9. Catcher, William Contreras. I don't think this is all that controversial. There just isn't anybody else that speaks to me in the NL Central. I thought maybe for a while Trevino from Cincinnati, but nah, it's William Contreras. To me, he's just by far and away the best catcher. First baseman, I don't know. This might surprise you, but Michael Busch. Michael Busch has been great. He's a guy that I really wanted the Pirates to go get a couple years ago at the trade deadline. I wanted them to try to get him this off season for first base, and the Cubs did, and he's been awesome. He's just been awesome. I can't speak to how he'd be on this team, so it's not sour grapes. But second baseman Brandon Donovan, just the averages there. I toyed with Nico Horner a little bit, if only because his glove is superior, but it's hard to pass up Brandon Donovan's offense, so that's what I went with. This is going to shock you. At third base, I went with Ke'Bryan Hayes. I know. But I just invite you, go look at the stats of what's here. Go look at who else is playing third base in this division. For real. Yeah, really. I think you'll probably check yourself a little bit about Ke'Bryan Hayes. I know I did. Again, I'm telling you, I went into this with the mentality of trying to knock down my own players because I know I have those biases. I'm sorry, it's Ke'Bryan Hayes, especially this year because Nolan Arenado has not been good. Shortstop, this should be no surprise. Elly De La Cruz might be the best player in the division, period. Right field, Sal Frelick. Yes, Sal Frelick from Milwaukee. I think he gets this. Great outfielder. I definitely want him as one of my starters. He's a wonderful fielder. He's a little spark plug too. Center field, Pete Crow Armstrong. How could you go any other direction? He's been otherworldly this year. Left fielder, Kyle Tucker. I don't think Kyle Tucker's going to be here all that long in this division, but at least I hope not. But Kyle Tucker, yeah, he's great. DH, another Cub, Seiya Suzuki. Yeah, I toyed with Christian Yelich here at DH, but Seiya Suzuki just, man, he's been great. And like the Cubs bats that are in this, for me, it's kind of freaky that they're not even better than they are. Their offense, at least their lineup, man, it's the envy of a lot of teams in baseball, really. The bench, I went that far. I did give Christian Yelich the nod here. Now, secret to this is that Christian Yelich is one of my all-time favorite baseball players. So, yeah, I guess I had a little bit of bias there too. But he's really been good as a DH, and I think he can still pitch in the outfield if he has to. So he's my bench guy. Plus, I think Seiya could actually play the outfield too if he had to. So, and he has. My backup catcher, because you have to have one of those. Got to keep it real. Carson Kelly. I think Carson Kelly's been really solid. I would have normally gone with the defensive one, and I thought about going with Henry Davis because I do think Henry Davis is the best defensive catcher in the division. But I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I'm building an all-star team here. And again, I'm super critical of the Pirates. The utility guy that I'm bringing in is Jackson Chourio. I can play him just about anywhere. And I think his bat is underrated. I think he'll play just about anywhere and fill in well. And then my last bench role, Oneil Cruz. I'd love to have Oneil Cruz on this team. He can fill in the outfield. I guess in a pinch, you might be able to use him in the infield. I don't know. Why not? If I was coaching this as an all-star team, maybe I would play around with that. But Oneil Cruz is a guy that I think you'd want on your bench. Ton of power that he can provide, pop off the bench, big situation, something along those lines. I think he's a guy that could play. I don't think he's your starter, but I definitely think he's on your bench. So that's my NL Central 26-man all-star team. I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope this is a good weekend. A lot of trades could happen over the weekend. If they do, I'm going to try real hard to pop on here and do a special episode if it warrants it. Don't expect it if they trade Tommy Pham. But if they trade somebody like IKF or somebody that matters, that actually has term, definitely be on here to do a new show. I'll definitely give you my comments one way or another, even if they're small. I'll do a short little video just to tell you what I think of it. But buckle up. This is the last week of this nonsense before we finish the rest of the nonsense we call the MLB season. That's all I got for you, everybody. Let's go